morning. Good morning. Welcome to another Eco Insider TV. This series is the biggest event planning mistakes and their solutions. Whether you've been thrown into planning or have been planning events your entire life, you can always count on unexpected challenges. Events, no matter how well you script them, are just unruly and things never quite go as planned. It's important to have a comprehensive game plan, like little tricks of the trade in your treasure box so you can whip it out whenever you need to. That way you can adapt and be flexible when you encounter a hiccup. My name is Melody Dixon, and I'm the CEO and founder of Pro Event Planners, curators of eco-focused events. I support clients who are steeped in all things sustainability. It's in their home life, it's in their business, it's in their events. And that's why they come to me, because I align with their corporate culture where that's concerned. I also work with clients who have no idea about sustainability. They just want to stop the bleeding, stop the waste, stop the food and the paper and the money and the time in their business. And they're maybe seeing information online that being eco-focused is the way to do it. They want to also take that into their events. And so they connect with me. I give them little tips on how to add eco-focused elements in their events that over time make a big positive impact on the environment. So sustainability is just meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I like to explain it as I get to start my business, create art, start a garden, and the resources I use to do that, I don't ride it till the wheels fall off. I don't finish it today. I use only what I need so that my kids can have access to the resources, and my grandkids and family 10 generations deep will be able to create their own business and create their garden and create art as well. Now, there are 3 pillars to sustainability. The first one is the environment. This is where we reduce the use of what we're already using, reuse what we have instead of going to buy more, and recycle. Of course, you know, I like to squeeze in a fourth in this area, and that's upcycling. That's where you take what is trash or junk and transform it into a whole new product that can serve people, maybe give it a whole new life cycle. There's a show on HGTV. I always say this. It used to be called Flea Market Flip. They would take junk and like old wagon wheels and make it into coffee tables, old bookshelves and make it into bed frames, you know, old art and make it into coffee table. Just so many different ways to use junk. And it just takes imagination and curiosity and know-how. All right. So that's the first pillar, which is the environment. The second is economics. If it's sustainable or eco-focused, it also gets to make you money or save you money. So if you change out all the fluorescent lights in your business and you get LED lights, over time, it gets to make you money. All right. Third is social responsibility. Social responsibility. This is where we love our neighbors as ourselves. We create space for people to start their business, get a job to take care of their family, get health care, mental wellness spaces like parks and beaches, programs to help people navigate through trauma. All those things are included in social responsibility. And we get to love our neighbors as ourselves by creating spaces and making room for people to take care of their mental wellness. Today, we are going to unpack tips for staying organized. This is a big one. Sometimes people just ignore the things you get to have in place so that your event can be streamlined and logical in the flow of everything. They, you know, they have it all up here. They don't need to write anything down. They don't need a checklist. They they've been doing this for years. It's all up here. Well, my friend, things happen and memory cannot be trusted. No matter how good you think your memory is, you're just remembering the last time you remembered the thing. And it gets further and further away from the truth. So just to be sure, especially if you're doing a client's event. Let's say you are another planner, you're doing a client's event, you don't want to leave anything up to chance. If you're a manager at a company and you're in charge of doing the events for the company, or you've been tasked with doing that, you definitely don't want to fail, because then your supervisor, your boss is going to say, well, they can't manage this task. You had one job, do the event, and you didn't do it well. And so the next time they probably won't ask you, or they'll give you a hard time for that. Whether it's your business or you're tasked with it in a company, planners have to be organized. That's just a non-negotiable. There are vendors to juggle, payments to make, stakeholders to answer to. With non-stop schedules, it's easy to lose control of organization and do what you have to do to get everything done. So how do you get back on track and stay organized throughout the planning process? Here are a few tricks and tools to help you do so. They're so simple, you're going to be like, Melody, well, I know this. Well, most people, again, think, I'm organized. It's organized chaos. I know where everything is. When you're managing somebody's event and they're paying you, you cannot leave things up to chance. So if you see me looking up here, it's Instagram, down here, YouTube. Tip number 1, start the planning as early as possible. That is such a biggie. Just don't wait to do anything last minute. Start as early as possible. That way, time is on your side and you have the time to ease into it and organize as you go along, versus if you've let the time run out, you've dilly-dallied, you've procrastinated, and you haven't reached out to who you need to reach out to. Now you're scrambling and you're rushing, and in that frame of mind, you may miss things or overestimate things, and then that could be a problem. So the moment you are assigned the job, or you were hired to do the job, or you want to plan the event, start that day. And that could look like just getting pen to paper and say, okay, this is the event I'm having. I'm having a birthday party, or we're doing a board meeting. Let me write down the date and the time and how many people are expected. And what is the look and feel of the event? What are some elements that we need to do? Are we going to need audiovisual? Will there be keynote speakers? Do they want plated food or buffet, or just heavy past hors d'oeuvres? Get all those things down. So already the wheels have started to turn, and you can prioritize that list and get started. Especially if you have to choose a venue and it's a corporate event, the first thing you want to do is reach out to your audiovisual people just to say, this is what the company is planning. They want to have keynote speakers who will be doing certain things like this and this and this. What's a good venue that you recommend that can facilitate all these things? If it's not that involved, then you go right to getting the venue. Is it accessible? Can they reach it from I-95 or I-75 or the Turnpike? Easily accessible. How is parking? What's the layout? What's the presentation of the building when people are driving up? You can get right into that after that, okay? Tip number 2, get some quiet time and understand the event. Once you write down as much detail as you can the first day you get assigned the event, sit with it and get pen to paper. Okay, these are the elements. This is what's at stake. And what are they expecting as their return on investment for doing this event? What matrix or matrices would show the success of the event? And let me get some things in place that will be able to track that so that at the end of the event, I can say, Mr. CEO, you did this brand launch or this sales event, and you grew your email list from 1,000 to 1,500 or to 2,000, or you generated revenues of XYZ amount of dollars, which is 20% over last year. Figure out what is the meat and the reason for this event. Is it just to do a book signing? Okay. Who are you inviting? Is your mailing list up to date? Let's look at that. How do you get more people to attend? What are some strategies you need to do in place to promote the event? That quiet time to get organized is everything. Number 3, delegate to qualified people. No man is an island, and you can't do everything by yourself. So once you have a feel and a flow of what needs to be done, then who are the people in my circle that are able to help me execute that? The right event furniture company, the right bartending service, the right caterer or private chef, the right audiovisual company. What is their experience? How can they help me elevate the presentation of the brand in front of all these investors and all the people? Event setup staff. I mean, everything gets to be delegated so that you as the planner or the host of the event or the organizer of the event can have the bird's eye view of the event. Because if you're in the event and you're working, you're not seeing the big picture and you may miss something. You may need to redirect somebody who's not doing what they're supposed to do, or they're done with their task and they're just standing around. You need to be able to spot that and say, okay, you're done with that. Let me inspect it. Good. Okay, then I'm moving you over here. So for sure, delegate, delegate, delegate. That's what leaders do. Number 4, communicate early and often. For my events, I use WhatsApp. Some companies have apps. Of course, there's meetings and conference calls and Zooms and Google Meet and Teams and all the things. However you communicate early and often, because vendors have their other clients as well. And so the moment you know you need to get this venue, reach out to them and have them block the space for you. And then maybe you can iron out the details later. Reach out to your event rental company and say, this is the date, this is the time, this is what we're needing. Put those on hold for me, send me a quote so I can, don't wait until last minute, but communicate. Because here's a story that assisted me on my last event. I created this lovely vision board of painting this event for this client. And she's like, Melody, you captured it. Yes, yes, and yes to all of it. I don't have a change to make. So now I took this to my florist and I'm explaining it's a serpentine table and it's going to seat 10 people. And she's like, Melody, this table looks longer than 8 foot. So we went to the website and we looked and we couldn't see the exact measurement. So she's like, okay, call the event rental company and just make sure that they're telling you the right measurements. Turns out the table was 14 feet, an odd number, but it's a beautiful layout. And I've never worked with a serpentine table before. So he's like, it's 14 feet. So now I went back to the floor. She's like, yep, I'm going to use 2 feet rectangular containers, fill it with flowers, and it can appear to snake along the table, and you're going to need this many of it. So if I didn't say to the florist, here's a picture of the table and this is what we want to do, she wouldn't be able to say, this size doesn't look like how it appears in the picture, and then be able to advise me. And us communicating back and forth between myself and the florist and the event furniture rental company, it came together beautifully. The client was so happy. But it took communicating early and often so that we could get it together and make the right decision as to the size containers and then the kind of flowers and the textures that we wanted to exemplify in the runner centerpiece. So it makes sense. Communicate early and often. Now all of this could be a lot for you. There's talking and back and forth and phone calls and going there and pictures and zooming in on pictures and all the things. You don't have to worry about that. Let me take care of that for you. For Instagram, the link to communicate with me is in the bio. For YouTube, it's in the description of this live. I am going to direct you to the website, myproeventplanners.com. Click the link. It goes to the site the page that has the tabs that say package. Click on that and look at the pro event package. This is the hashtag hire it done for you. You tell me what kind of event you want to have, how many people you're expecting, the date, the look and feel, what you're expecting to achieve at the end of the event. I hit the ground running and I start the planning early. I talk with my vendors. Good morning, Dahlia, beautiful. I talk with the vendors, make sure that everything is set up on time, and I communicate early and often to the vendors and the staff and make sure that your event is logistically sound. And that's the pro event package. Dahlia, you came at the end of today's live, but let me fill you in. Of course, we're doing the series, The Biggest Event Planning Mistakes and Their Solution. And today we were unpacking tips for staying organized. So tip number one was to start the planning early. The moment you need to have an event or you want to have an event, you start the planning that day. And that can look like getting basic info, type of event, how many people, the date and time, the purpose of the event. And then you figure out tip number two, get some quiet time. The quiet time is for you to look at all this information and decide the look and feel of the event. Do you want it to be super feminine with pinks and everything? Do you want it to be sexy with black and leather and feathers? Do you want it to be vibrant and fun, like a tropical thing with colors of orange and yellows and reds and palm trees and all the things? Once you get the look and feel for your event, then you'll understand, okay, what elements would exemplify this look and feel that I want? And then tip number three, you delegate to qualified people. Okay, I want palm trees. What vendors can I get palm trees from? What kind of linens do I want? And is it textured? Is it just plain cotton? Just so many ways, but you delegate to qualified people. You need a good DJ, a good caterer, lighting, an MC, depending on how big the event is, qualified people, banquet staff, all the things, but qualified. When I say qualified, I mean people who have the knowledge and experience. So the knowledge to know what you're talking about and know what elements you get to have to exemplify the theme you want, and the experience to know of what that. Hey, Crystal, beautiful. You came at the end. I'm just recapping for Dahlia. I'll do for you too, my love. So we are talking about the tips for staying organized at an event or while planning your event. Tip number one was to start the planning early and as early as possible. As soon as you know the event is afoot, you start the planning. And that can look like get the date and the time and how many people you're expecting, just basic information. Tip number two is to get some quiet time and understand the event. What kind of event do you want to have? And I was just sharing with Dahlia, do you want something feminine, like with the pinks and all the flowers? Or do you want something sexy that's black with feathers and leather? Or do you want something tropical and fun that have palm trees and bright yellows and orange and red? Get a feel for the kind of event. And Tip number 3 is to delegate to qualified people. The venue, for sure, audio visual, for sure, your furniture rental company that will tell you, okay, for a tropical event, you need like rattan sofas and maybe standing lamps that look like palm trees. Or if you're doing sexy, you may need some leather chairs. If you're doing feminine, maybe chairs that have fluffy fur on it. They have the experience to know, to understand the theme that you're going for, and to know what elements will exemplify that theme, but also they have the experience to know if what you want to do can fit in the space that you have, for sure. I've had I've had oh my gosh, a call was coming in. Okay, great. I think we're back. A call was coming in. Okay, so tip number 4 is to communicate early and often. Communicate with all your vendors, let them know what you're expecting. And also, if you have really good vendors, they can give you ideas and steer you on the right path. Now, all of this is a lot, so click the link in the description of this live. And for Instagram, the link is in the bio. For YouTube, the link is in the description of this live. I'll be happy to support you on that, answer any questions you want. The link also takes you to my website where you can click on the Pro Event Package. This is the hashtag Hire It Done for you. We talk about all the details of the event, and then you say, Melody here, do it. And I take your desire and your budget, mash it together, and execute a wonderful event that allows you to actually be present for your guests at the event instead of worrying about what's behind the scene. You get to be front and center and be the hostess with the mostest, or the keynote speaker, or just connect with your guests instead of worrying about what's going on behind the scene, because Pro Event Planners has got it for you. Now, if you have questions, my name is Melody Dixon, CEO and founder of Pro Event Planners, curators of eco-focused events. My email address is info@myproeventplanners. Thank you so much for joining me today, my friends. It was a pleasure. Join me tomorrow when we tackle another topic, another biggest event planning solution, planning mistake, and their solution. All right. Take care, Dahlia and Crystal. Thank you for joining me, okay?